I don't fucking remember whose turn it is.
I think it's mine.
All right.
K.
K. Damn, that was real quick. I didn't even get to ask you what letter. You just went K. I mean, if we're starting with everything, I mean, very recently, there was some beef with Kendrick Lamar and Drake. And, I'll give some cliff notes for everybody. I know there are people that are like, oh, this is movies. No, I can tie it into movies. Don't worry. But, it all started like, a while back. J. Cole was giving an interview. And he was like, yeah, the top, the big three in rap right now, it's me, Drake, and Kendrick. And so then Kendrick was doing a feature on the song, and Kendrick's like, fuck the big three, it's just big me. And apparently J. Cole and Drake were all upset about that. J. Cole released a diss track called 7 Minute Drill. And then Drake released one called Push Ups. But after he released his, J. Cole was like, you know what? I'm sorry. I was just kind of in it at the time. I apologize for this. And actually pulled his track. I was like, I'm not really trying to start shit. My bad. And Drake was like, nah, fuck that. You're short, Kendrick. You're a little short guy. And then like everybody kind of started beefing with, there's all kinds of shit. Because he went after a lot of people. A lot of people went after him, all this shit. And it was kind of all quiet quiet for a little bit. And then just out of nowhere, Kendrick released a song called Euphoria. And he goes after fucking Drake. He goes after him. I mean, he goes after him. He's like, I hate that you say the N-word. I think that you're kind of a little too interested in young people. I think, you're all like, oh, let me research you. And which is kind of sad. He's like, I've got more to life than rap. I'm busy actually raising my son. Not that you would know anything about that. And everybody's like, well, damn. And then he waited like a day and then released like 616 in LA, which is a multiple level thing. I mean, it's like Tupac's birthday, all kinds of shit. Cause there was this controversy because one of the other songs that Drake released used AI Tupac in the song. So it's all kinds of whack and shit. And, not cool. But anyway, he goes after him for all that. And then Drake releases a song called Family Matters. And he tries going after after Kendrick. He's like, one of your sons isn't yours. You got you hired a crisis management team because you beat your wife. All this shit. And then this is to me where it took the worst turn for Drake. Is right after that, Kendrick releases another song, like right after too. It's like he was waiting. He was just waiting to see what angle Drake took. And he released this song called Meet the Grams, which, if you don't know, Drake's real name is Aubrey. Yeah, Aubrey Graham. And so he was like, Meet the Grams. He was like, hey, Adonis, which, if you don't know, is Drake's son. He's like, dude, your father's a little bitch. If you ever need a mentor, I'll mentor you.
Oh, man.
He was like, hey, Drake's mom, you've got to be creeped out by your son because you raised a fucking sleaze. Drake's dad, you should have worn a condom. Then he speaks to a possible yet unconfirmed potential 11-year-old daughter that Drake might potentially have, depending, that's not confirmed. Was like, hey, this girl, I'm sorry, your dad's a piece of shit. If you ever need anything, you just don't deserve all this shit. And then a little bit after that, he released a song called Not Like Us, which to me is one of the hardest fucking diss tracks I've ever heard in my fucking life. because it also has one of just the sickest beats ever. It's a fucking club song. It's a song you are designed and meant to dance to. And he's just straight up going, Drake, you're a fucking pedophile. And everybody should dance to this song about you being a fucking pedophile. It's fucking nuts. Then, then Drake came back with another one right after that. Oh, what was that one called? It was like Heart Part 6, I think. Yeah, Heart Part 6. Which is a take on Kendrick's, because Kendrick has like that chain of songs. Heart Part 5 was the last one he did of those. So he comes back and was like Heart Part 6. And he's like, man, you're fucked up or nothing happened with Millie Bobby Brown and me. And everybody's like, Drake, why did you say that? Kendrick never said any names. Why are you the one dropping names? And he's like, I knew you would go the Epstein route, like calling him like an Epstein. And it's like, once again, Drake. Kendrick didn't say any names. Why are you the one bringing Epstein into this? And he's like, I never fucked an underage girl before. It's all, once again, Drake. You're getting way more specific, and I think it's like you're telling on yourself. And I'll get into that in just a second, too. And then he's like, haha, me and my group of people, we tricked you because we planted fake information and you bid on it. And then he goes on to say, but it's implying the whole daughter thing was fake. Like that was fake information he was fed. But then he was also like, but whoever you're getting, your information from is a clown anyway. So it's like, he's like, me and my boys came up with this story, but also, it's some clown that's telling you this information, which means you're calling yourself a clown because you're the one that said you gave him the information.
Yeah.
Like it's weird like that. Like it doesn't make sense. Like that's why Drake lost. Like, oh, this shit. Like it's very weird like that. But I said it would get into movies, right? I said that and I meant that. So if one of Kendrick's lines against Drake, he calls him B-Rad, and then also calls him Malibu's Most Wanted. So if anybody remembers from back in the day, there was that Jamie Kennedy movie, Malibu's Most Wanted, about that white rapper whose dad was running for governor, so he hired some black people to kidnap him so he wouldn't be a distraction during the election. Anybody want to guess what Jamie Kennedy's character's name was in that movie? Hint, it's B-Rad.
Yeah.
So Kendrick essentially called him, like referenced a 20-year-old movie to call him Jamie Kennedy from Malibu's Most Wanted, which is fantastic. It's a fantastic fucking pull.
Man. Wow.
But what I wanted to get into real quick, and it touches on something we've talked about a lot on this podcast with this, and I did want to tie this in. It's kind of where we've talked about before of where we draw the line when we're comfortable feeling like maybe certain allegations are true, even if they haven't been proven in a court of law. And we've talked about it before, and it's called patterns. So, because a lot of Drake stands are like, oh no, but it's not, there's no proof. There's no proof of this. There's no proof. There kind of is. When Drake was 31, he started texting a 14-year-old Millie Bobby Brown. Texting her things like, I miss you. Giving her advice about boys. Literal quotes from her. oh, Drake just texted me the other day saying I missed you. And I was like, I miss you too. Was texting Billie Eilish when she was 15. The day before she turned 18 on Instagram on one of her posts, made a comment of, I can't wait till you're 18. There's a woman named Bella Harris. I don't know really what she does. I just know she exists. Anyway, there's a picture of her and him on Instagram when she's 16, where he's all like cuddled up on her like this. Just, like all close and intimate, whatever. But I mean, it's just a picture of them standing together. That is what it is. When she was 18, he rented out a restaurant to go on a date with her. There's Haley Baldwin, Justin Bieber's wife, who, congratulations to them. She just announced she was pregnant. Apparently they met when she was 15, went on a date when she was 18. Not confirmed, but the, rumor mill says that she told some of her friends that her and Drake fucked before she was able to drive. Can't confirm nor deny that. I'm just saying that's what's thrown out there. But either way, met when she was 15, started dating when she was 18. Kylie Jenner, her 16th birthday. There's pictures of her, like him, like hugged up on her, just kissing the side of her face. Now it looks, it is just the side of her face, but it's like one of those like full on just kissing the side of her face. Started dating when she was 18. There was a college basketball player that was talking about how she was getting followed by Drake on Instagram when she was in high school, because he is just a big fan of women's high school basketball. So he followed her and a couple of her teammates. But yeah, they started talking whenever she was 22, I think, at the time. But, and the thing is with all this is it goes to what we were talking about with patterns. And whether or not he was saying anything inappropriate with these girls when they were underage, no proof of that, none whatsoever. But you ever want to see the definition of what grooming is? It's that. You start a relationship with people when they're underage. You might not do anything illegal when they're underage. And, then technically when all of a sudden they're legal, they have a relationship. And with that, it's the trouble with that. It's the fact that you're situating yourself to then use a legal technicality of they're legal now. Which, anybody over the age of, 22, if you're ever having to care what the legal age of consent is at that point, gets weird. A lot of his fans are like, well, the age of consent in Canada is 16. Doesn't help your case, bro. That's not a flex.
No, not quite. Jeez. Didn't know that about Drake.
Yeah.
It's not looking good for him.
Yeah. It's one of those things, dude. It don't matter if you actually had sex with a minor or not, dude. That is grooming. That's the definition of grooming. Like, that's what you're doing. And you know what? Let's say, hey, benefit of the doubt, you're not grooming them. Motherfucker, quit making it look like you are then, dude. I ain't bothered by Kendrick straight up calling him a pedophile. Because he's doing that behavior. Even if he's not maybe doing the act, you're doing things that make you are looking like you're doing the act. If you don't see that as a problem, shoe kind of fits. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for catching me up on that. That is very interesting. I'm going to have to go back and listen to some of these songs I'm behind on because this sounds glorious.
Well, so another thing. Let's tie this back into some movies and TV shows.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Like I said, Kendrick wrote that song Euphoria. Did you know Drake was a producer on Euphoria?
Oh, no. It kind of sadly makes sense now.
Yikes.
Yeah, Drake. I mean, you're a producer on a show about a bunch of kids fucking. I know that the actors themselves aren't kids. The content of the show is about kids fucking, though. Content of the show is sometimes also those kids be fucking adults. But funny thing is if you Google Euphoria, the thing that pops up first is Kendrick's song, not Drake's TV show. So kudos to him for supplanting the show. I can make another connection, weirdly enough. Since the last time I was on this podcast, Harvey Weinstein's conviction in New York City was overturned for doing the sex crimes. Good news is he still also got convicted in LA, so it's not like he's going free. He is still going to jail. Good news is it also technically means New York can bring another case against him. You know, and it's one of those tough situations because it only feels like these rules come out when it's these high profile rich guys that get convicted of it, like Cosby, like Weinstein. I appreciate that those protections are in place. But, you know, you don't hear about some poor guy getting off like that. In those instances, going to state Supreme Courts. It's fucking these rich assholes. You know, because I do think that those types of protections are important. You know, do I love the fact that it happened in a sexual assault case? No. But there should be protections for defendants where judges let things go further than they should. When prosecutors push things further than they should and the judge allows it, there should be protections in place for those defendants. And I'm happy that there are courts out there that are willing to admit, like, hey, like, you know, this might be a conviction and this might be serious, but, you know, it's also serious that we take those rules and also apply that. But we've seen time and time again, there have been criminal cases where the judge lets shit go and there's no remedy for it. Just when the victim's poor or the defendant's poor or black or anything not other than a rich white guy or just rich in general. Cause you know, Cosby wasn't a rich white guy, but that seems like that's the only time this shit happens. And it's that double-edged sword of I'm glad these things are in place. I'm kind of tired with how they're getting applied though. Like they're getting applied in the wrong way. You know, there was a judge here in fucking Illinois that, you know, this kid was convicted of rape because this girl was like drunk on her port, like was drunk off her ass, blacked out. This guy raped her and took her home. And the judge was like, you know, like it was a bench trial, which means there was no jury. It was just the judge. And originally the judge was like, you're guilty. But then when it came down for sentencing, he was like, you know what? I thought more about it. I don't think you're a rapist. you're now not going to jail. No remedy for that. You know, it's so yeah, it's all over the place. I'm just glad this doesn't mean the guy's completely off the hook right now. Because if he wasn't going to jail in LA, there's a very good chance the prosecutor in New York would go, look, if we can't do this the same way, I don't know if I can get a conviction. Therefore, we're not even going to retry it. Therefore, the guy's just free and not considered a criminal. At least he's still considered a criminal. Because then you have like the Cosby situation where that man's not even considered a criminal anymore. And you know, it's funny that I found out today. Somebody interviewed Drake's dad once, and he blamed women that go into hotel rooms with men for getting raped, like people that got raped by Weinstein and Cosby. Specifically Cosby. It's their fault for even going in there because they should have just gone home. But because they went to the hotel room, it is no longer the man's fault they got raped. Yay, Drake's dad.
Wow.
I left that out of the first part intentionally so I could wrap it back around. And the thing is, they can't even deny it because it's a video. I watched that man say it. I watched him say it. It wasn't like it's, oh no, it's taken out of context. I watched the question get asked and I watched him answer. Yeah.
Wow. I don't even know what to say to that.
God, I
Jeez.
bet so many people are fucking happy that I'm back on this.
Yeah, we needed this insight.
I'm the king of bummers.
God.
Why is it that like my niche is pointing out sex crimes from actors? I'm so good at it.
Yeah, you are. It's a strange talent, but
It really is.
maybe it's not the talent that we wanted, but maybe we deserve it. We deserve to know who these criminals are.
Did I bring up the last time we did this? Did I bring up James Marsden too on the podcast?
I feel like you did, but
I think
just know
because
there's
we
been a lot
did
of
talk about
conversation.
him in relation to the
We texted about it. I just didn't know if I brought it up where the fact that he's, you know, like super friends with Brian Peck and also super friends with Bryan Singer. And both of them have more or less been accused. One of them convicted of, you know, sex crimes against children.
yeah.
And it's just kind of weird that James Marsden's just really highly associated with both of them.
Yeah, and vouches for them.
Okay. As long as that's said. Any other news?
It's a big weekend news.
Well, this doesn't really have to tie into movies, but today I celebrated 15 years of wrestling.
Nice.
Yay me.
That's pretty cool.
And there
Happy
are no...
Wrestleversary.
Thank you. You'll be happy to know that there are no sex crimes or anything like that involved with my 15-year career.
Excellent. Yes.
So, yes. So
Don't say that, Jastin, not because of your behavior or anything like that. But I'm sure if I thought about it, you might have been on a show with the sex pest.
Oh, that probably has happened for sure. But I'm just saying
That's
because due to my behavior.
Yes.
So,
yes.
you know, unlike these other people that we were talking about, I have behaved myself. And guess what? It wasn't hard. Just
Do you feel like
horrible shit?
Do you feel like your life is worse because you didn't sexually harass or sexually assault anybody?
Let me think about it. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. Don't feel like I need that in my life.
Yeah. See?
So
that's good. Because I'm just asking because, that's how some of these motherfuckers act. Like their life would just suck so hard if they just weren't able to sexually harass and assault and just be monsters.
And, I know that I'm not Drake or Kendrick or anything, but, as a wrestler, you get approached constantly by people of all ages. You know what? If somebody, if a young girl comes at you like that, you find out what age they are, and then you act respectively, and then you leave them alone. And that's it.
Imagine that.
Just imagine that. It just seems so simple for me. I just don't understand how it can be so hard for others. But
when the last time I texted a 15-year-old girl was? I think it was when I was 16. It's crazy.
I mean, there's I'm a member of like a Discord group, and there's a girl on there who I think she's probably mid-20s, and one of the other people on there I think is 17, and was like, hey, like, can you add me as a friend on here? And she's like, sorry, I don't add anybody that's under 21. Like, I'm just not going to do it. And I was like, you know what? Respect for that. Like, it's sad that you have to make the clarification of it, but I respect, because I mean, I think in my mind, I'm just like, well, yeah, obviously I'm not going to want to do that. But like, they might not get that or know that, and so to set the clear boundary, like that's, I respect that. And that is how it should be.
No, it's a good rule.
That is a good rule. That is a good rule. And I don't know, maybe that's kind of something that I could be susceptible to, because I literally would just add anybody. Like, I don't care who you are. I'll just add you because I'm trying to get my numbers up. But also, I think the thing about my social media, though, is that pretty much it's wrestling shit and Cinema Slayer shit. I'm not on there talking about who I'm dating or sexual stuff or, stuff like that. I think if I was more talking about just my life in general, but I save those conversations for people like you guys or people like, my personal friends, and I've got private chats where I can, with friends and people and adults my age, where I can talk about that stuff, but if I was talking more about that stuff, like more mature stuff on my social media, I'd probably have a rule like that too. But I'm just like, oh, I'll add anybody because all they're going to see is wrestling and podcast shit.
I get that.
That's it, But anyway, social media just seems more fun to keep it in that realm. And, every now and then I might discuss something like, oh, I was down about this or I was down about, but, I try to keep the more adult things with adults. I mean, where they
as
belong.
you should. Yeah.
So.
Well, but
anyway.
there is still something to be said that's like different, which is the whole idea of like, like things for just public consumption, like your wrestling stuff, that's not meant to be, taken in a private manner. You know what I mean? Like that's meant for the public to consume.
Yeah,
exactly. That's your public persona. That's, you've interacted with kids as the living proof, just at wrestling shows and stuff like that. They've, you've taken pictures with kids and their parents and, all this stuff like that's, so there's that aspect of it. that's the public persona. You know, you're not really interacting with children as Jastin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's that difference.
True.
You know,
there is a difference. Yes.
And
true.
it's just, you know, that's why it's like, okay, yeah, you know, you might have like a 15-year-old follow you on Facebook. And it's because of the wrestler. You know what I mean? You're trying to get fans. You're not trying to have actual relationships with every single person on your Facebook.
Yeah, that's true. I like how you put that. And that's exactly right. They're following the wrestler. They're not following me, the person, you know?
Yeah. And then, you know, and that's the thing is like, you have that point of demarcation. You have that aspect of it. And, you know, that's a wildly different thing. You know, I don't think there's anyone even remotely. I technically, I mean, I think the youngest people that I'm friends with on Facebook are my fucking stepsisters. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not even like they're my stepsisters, you know, we're, you know, related now.
Family.
That's it. Like outside of that.
Same with me too. The youngest people I have that follow me are family members.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's, you know, that's whatever. Like that's this whole
that I
thing.
actually know that would have a conversation with the actual Jastin. You know, they're family members. Other than that, it's like you said,
well,
fans following the wrestler.
And the funny thing is while they're the youngest people I'm friends with on Facebook, we've never had a conversation outside of in person at a family event, like type of thing. Like, you know what I mean? There's even that distinction of, you know, nothing else. And it's just, but that's it. Like but also like, I'm way more discerning on Facebook just for the sheer fact of, I also just I don't add anybody. If you're friends with me on Facebook, it's because you added me. That's just how I roll. But even then, I don't typically add people I don't know. Like I genuinely have to be like, I have to know you in some way, shape, or form. I'll say this girl added me on Facebook a couple of days ago. I mean, we went to school together for fucking years. But we were actually like fairly decent friends, like in 8th grade, and then didn't talk for like 4 fucking years, you know, high school shit. But like, you know, she added me on Facebook or whatever, because it's all because our 20-year high school reunion's coming up. So it's like they're like looking at people that like are in that Facebook group, and I'm watching it happen. I'm not even fucking going to it. I haven't even said anything in that chat. I think it's just one of those things where people are kind of just going through the people that are in that group and going, oh man, we were in school together. And they feel like they have to, you know, and it's one of those things like, hey, don't worry. I wasn't offended we weren't friends on Facebook because I don't actually give a fuck. But, you know, I guess it hurts their delicate, you know, sensibilities that they're just like, oh no, there's somebody I used to know in high school. And we're not friends on Facebook. I don't give a fuck. I mean, I'm a polite motherfucker. I hit okay. But also, it took me a second to remember who the fuck you were. Cause I don't care. I don't live in Midland no more. You know, like I said, I'm not even going to my high school reunion. Mainly because it's in Midland. If they maybe did like the high school reunion in like Cali or even like Tennessee or Florida, just somewhere else, maybe I'd go to that. But I guess that defeats the purpose of the high school reunion because you're supposed to be there for the homecoming game. Like that's the point of the homecoming game. But, you know, it is what it is. I don't care. I forgot one thing. One more thing, guys. One more news thing. So So Jerry Seinfeld just had a movie come out on Netflix called Unfrosted. It's like the untold story of the creation of the Pop-Tart. It's some bullshit story. It's not even like the real thing. It's just, it's a dramatized thing, whatever. Cool. Okay, I guess. Who cares? But this man's doing a media tour for it. And he was talking about how, like, the left, how the far left in PC culture has just made TV comedies just impossible now. Back in the day, you used to go home and you'd just turn on the television and you'd find comedy. And now you can't even do that anymore. And it's all because PC culture and not insulting people has just run amok. And there's just nothing funny on TV anymore.
Okay.
Wow.
A weird take, but all right.
Yeah. What? Okay.
Have you ever cared any less about this man saying this shit?
No.
No.
Like, were you just sitting around going, man, I wonder what Jerry Seinfeld's thoughts were on it?
Yeah, never something I ever expect to care about. No offense, but yeah.
You know what's even funnier? You know what I can do with this? That's why I really wanted to make sure I could bring this up once I remember to. Let's tie it back to our first story. We're talking about Kendrick Lamar and Drake. So when Jerry Seinfeld, who is now 70, when he was 38, he dated his 17-year-old.
No.
Don't you care about his opinion less now? Like, even though you didn't, you just care less now?
Yeah.
Somebody was trying to defend him on the internet, and it's like, well, but he never dated a 17-year-old after that. That's not a flex. Like, that's not the flex you think it is.
He only did it once, man. Gosh.
He was only 38 once dating a 17-year-old. Yeah. Don't you just love how full circle these have all been?
It's like bittersweet, but yeah.
Only once, like he did shoplifting, or I hate how people equate that to just something, like they make it just seem like it's so not a big deal. And then they always seem to compare it to something that just is in no way should ever be a comparison. Like, oh, he only did it once, so it's good. It's all good. Like, what are you saying? I just never understood that logic. I just never quite got that.
And then, I don't know. Plus, you just think about, like, is there a reason it was only once, as far as, like, you just didn't have an opportunity, but you would have if you did have the opportunity? You just think about those things, too. And you're like, this is messy. I don't know.
I think that it almost feels like that's why he's more upset with PC culture. Because he gets called out for it now. Nobody called him out for it back in the day. And now everybody calls him out for it. I think that's really why he's upset. Anyway, are you guys ready to talk about this movie?
Yes.
Let's go.
Theme song.
but you. All right. Are you ready? Yep. Come on.
Cinema Slayers.
Hey, Cinefans, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Slayers podcast. I'm Sterling, and as always, I'm joined by Heather and Jastin. And tonight we're going to talk about what we liked, didn't like, and everything in between with the new movie, The Fall Guy. We will go spoiler-free recommendations and scores, and then into a more spoiler-centric section with time codes in the description to allow you to jump around if you so require. And with all that, because I've missed everybody so dearly, I'll start it. It's a movie. It's fine. It's not bad. It's not good. It's a movie. I mean, you know, if you got 2 hours and you just don't know what to do with it, there are worse things you could do. Personally, I think you should doom scroll on TikTok and just watch Kendrick and Drake videos nonstop and just find the ins and outs of all that beef. But, you know, if you want to go out and, you know, back inside somewhere else and eat some popcorn, I guess, sure. You can watch Fall Guy. It's just, to me, it's just an inoffensive movie. It's just a movie. You know, it's, you know, there is some action. There's, you know, it's not particularly groundbreaking or, you know, uniquely exciting or anything, but, you know, there's some action. There's some jokes. You know, some of them are funny. Some of them aren't. But it's got jokes. You know, it's got two leads that, you know, have relatively high charisma. You know, and this movie goes, hey, what if they, you know, don't show all that? Like, what if they just came with 60% charisma? Okay, that's an interesting choice. If I'm casting Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, I'm going to go turn charisma up to 11. It's also got Winston Duke, who I think is weirdly, I think he is charismatic. I love Winston Duke. I think he's fantastic. You know, he's in the movie. It's got, what's her name? Something Waddingham. What's her first name?
Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah Waddingham. I mean, that woman oozes charisma. Also, I was weirdly bothered by the fact that this movie just covered her arms so much, because that woman's got arms second only to Michelle Obama. And just weirdly just didn't want to show that. I'm not even trying to objectify her. I'm just saying, I got 3 seasons of Ted Lasso where they didn't hold back, and I'm just kind of upset that this movie did. It's like it just, you know, didn't want to like have people be at their full potential. And I just don't get why. I mean, I'll say this, Aaron Taylor Johnson is just shirtless for 99% of his scenes in this movie, which, you know, that's probably the smartest choice you did. But, you know, to top everything off, to me, this movie's weirdly convoluted towards the end. It doesn't need to be. This movie can be infinitely more straightforward than it was. And it's just, it gets complicated, but not even like a smart complicated. Just complicated because they wanted it to be. Not because it needed to be. I just don't get how this movie just ended up being just okay. Just a movie. I mean, this movie had everything you needed for just to be an action-packed, comedy-fueled rom-com machine. And just decided to, you know, just kind of be that. Just have all of those things, but not really try or excel at any of them. I mean, this movie might as well be called Sterling, the high school years, due to all its failed potential. Heather, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you do make some interesting points about like not really using everyone to their full potential, because this movie falls in a weird place for me of, I think that the chemistry was good, especially between Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling, but you think about them in other roles that they've done and just how charismatic and how charming they are. And you think like, yeah, I mean, I guess there are some ways they could have done it better in this movie. And it's also one of those movies where it's a fun ride. Like, I think it's a very fun movie, but I do definitely think that it is elevated by the people they have in it. Like the cast elevates it more than the story actually is worth. And I mean, the story, it's not bad, but it's not really anything groundbreaking, I guess. But I will say it does have some amusing moments that are funny and everything, but nothing that was really laugh out loud type of funny to me. Moments that, like I said, amusing and, did the trick of, getting you like the humor or the like comedic side of this film. But yeah, there was nothing that was like, that was the best joke I've ever heard. Like, nothing about it is the most hilarious action film. Nothing about it is the most like actiony action film. None of it is the best of anything. So I get what you mean by it's just a movie. But that being said, I still was like really entertained by this film. Like, I think it was just, I think I walked out and I was just like, that movie was cute. It was a cute movie, definitely one of those, date night movies or something like that you want to do. But it's, especially for the hype of what they did with this movie, I did definitely expect it to be a little bit better than it was. And that's not to say that it was, again, a bad movie, just that it was not, it was overrated. And I feel like it's probably coming a little bit off the high of Ryan Gosling as Ken, and people loved it and they know how funny he can be and all these things. So I think there was some kind of expectation that was put on this movie in that regard. And probably with Emily Blunt, coming off of things that she's just done and all that. But I don't know. I feel like it definitely could have been more like, I would have loved this to be like my new favorite rom-com movie of some kind, but it just wasn't that. But I do think that there are moments that really work. And I think the dynamic between a lot of the different characters works pretty well. And then honestly, we do get some like sincere, more like serious moments in the film, typically from Ryan Gosling's character, which I think was really good. I think it kind of worked. And I don't know. I think that he kind of is always really good at very evenly towing that line of, doing the funny thing, but also doing the let's make it heartfelt thing. Like, he's very good at that type of thing with a lot of roles that I've seen him in. So I appreciate that aspect in this movie even more, because sometimes it was the thing that made the movie better. So yeah, and also I think the music is great. I think it's a great soundtrack, fun little music stuff that they had going on there. But yeah, and the side characters are funny, Hannah Waddingham's character, Winston Duke. Yeah. Aaron Taylor Johnson, all of the side characters are really good. But again, all of the characters could have used just dial it up a little bit, like dial up a few notches. But that being said, there was some good action, and it was fun to watch the story unfold between these two people. So it definitely was a fun ride, even if it wasn't like not even a fully realized film, but just, it wasn't a film that reach the potential it could have reached, in for whatever reason that is. So yeah, but it was still a good time at the movies.
Jastin, what about you?
Yeah, I think for the most part, I can kind of understand where the both of you are coming from. I think that this is just like kind of like one of those quintessential just popcorn summer movies. Like the movie doesn't take itself too seriously. It's so I think that was probably the right tone for this. Like, so some of the jokes are meta, some of the jokes are based on literally the characters, some of the jokes are kind of situational humor and stuff like that, which I think was a fine balance for it. I agree. Not every joke landed with me, but I laughed sometimes. I found some of it funny. I just wasn't sitting there bored out of my mind, just kind of no selling everything that the movie was doing. I thought that Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt as the two main leads of this did fine. I liked Ryan Gosling's character. I did like them together. I thought that I agree with Heather. I thought that they did have good chemistry, and that's pretty much the crux that drives the film. So I thought all of that was fine. I think also because you had this being from the perspective of somebody who is a stunt man and somebody who is a director, I think what really helped this was the dialogue was sometimes interesting, because sometimes they would be talking about, the director would be talking about how things are going to play out in a movie, but the stuntman character is looking at it in regards to their relationship. And then sometimes they would both be doing it, but other times, he would be implying it. And so they do all these fun kind of things, and they use insider terms. Like there's a whole part where they're having a conversation about the third act, and it relates to the relationship, but also this movie that we're trying to make within the narrative of the film. So for somebody like me who has written screenplays and who kind of knows about that a little bit, some of that was kind of cool and interesting to me. Some of those conversations, because I felt in on it. I knew what they were talking about. I knew the issue the director was having. And it's not like you have to be a screenwriter to understand what Emily Blunt was talking about, but I kind of felt like I knew. I kind of knew some of the insider terms. I knew kind of what she was talking about. So that was cool. I think the soundtrack in this movie is pretty good, especially if you like 80s rock and stuff like that. It had all of that kind of music in there for you. So you hear some Kiss, you hear some, you hear a lot of old classics, and I think it did fit with the narrative of this. And also I do like how the movie also in its own way tried to give props to stunt people and stunt coordinators and stuff like that. The movie talks a lot about how stunt people are like the unsung heroes of movies and cinema and things like that. And I don't think this is too much of a spoiler. There was even a part where a character is talking to Ryan Gosling's character, Colt, right? Or wasn't that his name? Yeah, Colt. He's talking to Colt, and he's like, there's no Oscar for stunt work, right? And then, Colt is like, nope, there's no award for that. And you know what? That probably should change. I think that there should be something for that. I think that those people should be awarded, because even on social media, like if you follow stunt coordinators and people like that, man, the stuff they have to do, the training that they go through, the things that they have to do are simply amazing. So one of the best things about this movie is that it tried to put a spotlight on stunt people. It didn't just have a stunt man as a main character. I felt like the movie was really trying to give props and talk about the significance of stunt people and stunt coordinators, even though they are often not really acknowledged or not given credit in films. So I think that was one of the better things about it. And I don't really think this is a spoiler either, but even in the ending credits, if you sit there, all you're watching is a bunch of videos of the stunt work and stunt doubles, and you're seeing some of the stunts be done, and you're seeing like what some of these guys and these gals had to go through to make this happen and stuff. So it wasn't, and some mixed with outtakes, but most of it, you were watching stunt work and you were watching stunt coordinators and stunt doubles do stuff. So I thought that was really cool. I like the nod that this was giving to people who work in that field. And I believe David Leitch, is that how you say his last name?
I think so.
Okay. And I hope I'm getting that right. But I believe David Leitch, at the beginning of this movie, it's him and Ryan Gosling sitting there kind of, welcoming you to the film and thanking you for watching the film.
Texting.
And David says that he used to be a stunt man. So this was very personal to him. He felt, so I think that stuff was in there because he respects the profession, coming from it. And I think that some of that was evident in the film.
Isn't that the same thing with the John Wick director? Same thing like that, right?
This guy was also an uncredited director on the first one.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, the director of John Wick was also a stuntman. If I'm remembering correctly, didn't this guy also direct Atomic Blonde? I think this guy directed Atomic Blonde.
Okay. Okay, cool. And so that was just something that made that cool. It was nice that part of the industry got a spotlight for a little bit. So I appreciated about that about the film too. But in other respects, I do agree with you guys. There's nothing like great about this per se, but I just felt like it was all good to decent. I didn't feel like there was anything bad about it. I didn't think there was necessarily a bad scene. I do think that in the third act, there were some things that we could have tied up a little bit better, a little bit smoother. But for the most part, I kind of liked that the final confrontation wasn't just, it was more than just a big fight. There was all this stuff going on, and it didn't all come together nicely, but I did appreciate the effort to just not make it so cliche. That they tried to make it a little fun, and they tried to have all these moving parts and pieces, and they tried to do all of these things, but we could get into the logistics of that. It kind of did a little Goonies thing at the end where all this stuff happens, but you got to argue, would it all just tie up this fast? As far as just how we resolved everything, you could argue the logistics of would any of that stuff hold up in court? And like there are things you could definitely look at and go, I wonder if that would have just tied up into a nice little bow. But the movie was kind of silly anyway. So I guess I just more or less accepted it because the movie already told you it was silly. So, it's some silly shit. But overall, I didn't have a bad time watching this. I think overall I enjoyed it. I think it was good enough to be okay, but definitely not spellbinding or great in any way.
Recommendations and scores.
Yep.
Recommendations and score.
Heather, go.
Yeah, I recommend it. I liked it enough to say go see it. Especially like if you want to do like a date or something like that. Like it's a really good date film, and just it's a fun, mindless film. You know, you don't have to sit and think deeply about anything with it. It's the action, it's the funny, it's all of those things. Yeah, I think it's definitely worth giving it a shot, even though it's not at its full potential and things like that. It is still a decent movie. It is fine, you know. The word I think you used, Sterling, was inoffensive or unoffensive, which, yeah, very true. I think this movie is very unoffensive in that way. And, you know, seeing at least the chemistry between Gosling and Blunt, I think is worth it a little bit as well. But yeah, there's nothing saying that like, oh, this is horrible, you shouldn't watch it. Right. But it's also not like this is the best thing I've ever seen, so you have to see it right now. So maybe wait till it's on streaming or something like that and go see it. But yeah, I think it's worth it. I'm going to give this movie 75 thumbs up to tell everyone you're okay 1,000,000 times out of 100.
Jastin, what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm in a similar boat. Like earlier, Heather was like, it's a cute movie. And you know what? I don't think there's any better way to describe this than that. That's what it is. You have some attractive leads. They look good. The cinematography and the shots look good most of the time. You know, the director was good about that. The movie has a good look to it as just far as how it was shot, how everything looks. The stunt work and the action sequences are good. None of them are great. I'm not going to be comparing this to John Wick or Shang-Chi or anything, but they were fine. You know what I mean? They were fine. They were fine action sequences and stuff like that. Very reminiscent to me of like 80 and 90s action films. Very, very reminiscent of that. A lot of them felt like throwbacks to stuff like that with, you know, Ryan Gosling running around and dodging something, but he's trying to drink his coffee and he can. And, you know, that's what this felt like. It really just felt like that kind of stuff. That's what it sort of seemed like the director was going for. So, you know, I'm not like Sterling. I'm not anti-nostalgia, so I don't mind getting a little reminder of some 90s action. You know, I don't mind a little movies for guys who like movies and all that stuff. You know, so it's all good.
Jastin,
you know,
you should be
I
offended
can do it
by
every
that.
once in a while.
You should be offended for that movie, the movies for guys that like movies. Do you remember what kind of shit that channel would, or that little thing would show?
It was terrible action movies.
They'd be like, movies for guys that like movies. Dog Puncher 9.
Yeah. Or what was the name of that? The last. Oh my God. It was on the tip of my tongue and I lost it. But it was a white guy, man. American Ninja. American Ninja Part 3. Do you remember American Ninja?
I do. Yes.
Please tell me, did you remember American Ninja?
Jastin, I try to forget shit. Why are you trying to bring that shit up? Why are you trying to make me remember American Ninja 3, Jastin? That's terrible. That's a hate crime. Yes, American Ninja. That was what about 8 of them or something. What about like The Principal 3 with like Jim Belushi or some shit? What about that one?
Oh my gosh.
Oh God, The Principal. Okay, just stop it. Just stop it.
Oh,
now.
wait, I'm sorry. I was thinking of The Substitute. That's the movie I was thinking of, not The Principal.
Whatever. That might as well be the same fucking movie. Who gives a fuck?
American
Is that the one you're talking
those
about?
ninjas had helicopters, Sterling.
Probably.
They had little helicopters. They were remember they were just flying around on helicopters.
Justin, quit
trying to cut
make me
people.
remember shit I don't want to remember.
They were flying on their little choppers trying to cut him, man.
Justin, do you remember the movie Redfield?
No.
Exactly. Why are you trying to? I'm not trying to make you remember that. Why are you trying to make me remember this?
Why haven't you bought the American Ninja collection?
All right, Justin,
And
if
why
I
isn't
buy
that
it,
on iTunes?
if I
Why
buy it,
isn't
you
that
gonna
on
watch
iTunes?
it?
Okay, let's get back to my
Oh no,
recommendation.
Justin. Oh no, Justin. If I buy American Ninja 3, you gonna watch it?
Oh God, that was bad. Okay. Yeah, I recommend. I do. Please watch this and do not watch American Ninja. Do not
Justin,
watch the American
Justin,
Ninja series.
Justin, no, hold on. They have the American Ninja 4 film collection on iTunes right now. I didn't even know there's a 4. They have American Ninja, American Ninja 2, The Confrontation, American Ninja 3, Blood Hunt, American Ninja 4, The Annihilation. Guess how much all 4 of those? Yeah, guess how much all 4 of those movies cost together in this bundle? Guess.
It better be 45 cents.
Jastin, you were actually kind of close. It's $40 fucking dollars. $40 fucking dollars. They actually expect somebody to pay $10 a movie. If this whole bundle was $10, I would have bought it. I am buying each of these movies for $10
That's
each.
insanity. $40 for American Ninja, or what are they smoking?
Nah.
Just if you buy American Ninja 4 by itself is $15.
What?
But
Why?
You can watch it
now
for
I'm just
free.
Angry.
You can watch it for free on Tubi though.
Hmm.
I actually don't know if I'd mind watching that with ads. That actually might make me feel better knowing there's commercial breaks.
Just break it up a little bit. Yeah.
Oh my God, American Ninja. But anyway, I'm going to recommend this movie, not American Ninja. Don't get confused, audience. Don't get confused, Cinefans. I'm recommending the movie that we watched, The Fall Guy. I recommend that. I like we said, it's fine, man. It's a cute little movie. It's decent enough. I think it does enough right than it does wrong, and it's funny enough. It has enough action. The love story was good enough. It's gonna pass for me. So with that being said, we'll give it 75 failed attempts to drink your coffee, which would be an absolute nightmare for me because I'm so a coffee person out of 100. Don't drink it in front of me, Heather. I don't have my cup.
I doubt that's actually coffee.
Is it
It
tea?
is not coffee. Not this late. Not
Oh.
this late.
See?
No, it's actually just soda.
Oh, okay.
A little caffeine, but not like coffee caffeine. You know, I don't want to be up all night.
True that. True that.
I guess I recommend it. But at the same time, without getting into specifics, we were having a conversation before we recorded, and all I'll say is the gist of that conversation is, cute just ain't enough.
Touche.
Oh. You got me.
The second you
Got me.
said cute, Jastin, I knew exactly what I was going to say during this time. Cute just ain't enough for me. I ain't going to shame
cute
it
as a
for being
button.
cute,
It's cute.
but cute ain't enough. I mean, this movie to me, it goes. It happens. I'm not upset I watched it. I'm also probably just never going to watch this movie again. I mean, I watched it once. There's nothing about this movie that makes me want to go, I need to see more. I would much rather just watch, Crazy Stupid Love. If I want to see charismatic as fuck Ryan Gosling, I'll watch Crazy Stupid Love. I'll watch Barbie. I'll watch any other movie. Not The Notebook, but other movies.
Did you like Drive with him?
Yeah, but it's not. But I'm talking about the rom-com charismatic Ryan Gosling.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
La La Land even.
Yeah.
Not as much as the others, but yeah. I mean, Crazy Stupid Love is going to be your absolute best bet on that because that's charisma for days in that one.
How do you take the man that was in that movie and then do this one?
Right.
I mean, Emily Blunt. I mean, fuck, I'll watch Jungle Cruise again before I'm going to watch this. For charismatic Emily Blunt.
But they were cute.
Okay. Not enough, Jastin. When I go to a movie, Jastin, I don't want a amuse-bouche. I don't want an appetizer. I want a fucking meal.
Just a little finger food. Just a finger food's not enough for you.
Fuck no, Jastin.
Just a little cute little. Let's get you a little cute little finger sandwich there.
I don't want a little finger cucumber sandwich cutting little triangles with no crusts. I want a fucking Cuban. I want a Reuben. I want a sandwich.
You don't like the triangles? I mean, those triangles be adorable, Sterling. I mean, come on, man. The shapes. Like, are you serious here? I mean, the shapes.
I prefer square or elongated sandwiches. I don't want no triangular sandwich.
I'm also trying to figure out, like, how many rom-coms is Emily Blunt in? Because I think maybe she should do more. I mean, she's in The Devil Wears Prada, but she's, like, kind of a villain. So she's not charismatic so much in that. But I feel like maybe she just needs to do more rom-coms.
I mean, that's fair, but also nothing about this movie makes me think that. Just because, this movie's nothing.
But if they're like, we need somebody cute, we need a cute little woman to do this, you wouldn't, you don't think Emily Blunt could do it?
Cute ain't enough. Jastin, well, I don't understand what about that phrase is just so perplexing to you. Not enough. Jastin, if I came to you and I give you 25% of a regular ass fucking sandwich, regular ass, I'm talking about regular slices of bread, and I give you 25% of that, so you get 25% of a sandwich, would you be satisfied, Jastin?
Not if I had that appetite like you got. No, not if I was hungry. You know what I'm saying? If I was hungry,
Jastin, I'm in a constant state of
angry. I'd be angry.
It's never enough.
I get what you're saying. I don't know, man. I was just hoping if I keep saying it'll wear on you,
I mean, I'm actually surprised too, Jastin, because like, if I remember right, you have a mad crush on Emily Blunt. So I would think you'd want more like Emily Blunt, like more of charming Emily Blunt.
I guess so. But I can understand that. But when you kind of have a crush, you just want to see him. You're just happy to see him.
Just like Nicole Kidman for you. Just
yeah.
You have no problem. You would have no problem with that AMC ad, like every time.
No, I would not. And Emily Blunt was looking cute, Sterling. Now she was looking good, Sterling. Now come on. Now I don't want to hear nothing about that. She was looking good.
She's always beautiful,
I don't need to hear otherwise.
Okay,
she was looking
Jastin.
good in there, Sterling.
Okay. I mean, that don't change
she had
shit,
on some
Jastin.
flowy pants and
that don't change shit.
She was out there in the sun and she was kind of tanned up. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, Emily, you looking a little darker these days.
Okay, Jastin, hey, the sun-kissed look does nothing for me. Because I don't like getting in the sun.
She wasn't black, but she was close. She was just closer to it.
Okay, I said sun-kissed. I don't know why you went that far with it. I'm just talking about the hint of sun. I'm just saying, I don't like being outside.
You don't like that? You don't like that hot orange? That kind of sun-kissed tan look?
No.
You don't like that?
Nah, pasty as shit. That's where I sit. No, I'm talking about it on white women. On
I
non-white
understand.
women. Yeah.
Yes, that is the subject matter here.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I kind of like I was feeling it, man. I like that she was a little tanned up. You know what I'm saying? I kind of liked her a little tanned up, man.
Does
Getting a little
nothing for
sun,
me.
you know what I'm saying? Out
No.
there baking a little bit.
No.
It kind of made her just a bit hotter. You know what I'm saying?
Nope. No, I don't know
No?
what you're saying. That's the problem, Justin. We're
She was out there
diametrically
baking,
opposed
you know
at
what I'm
this
saying?
point.
Just out there baking. The bacon was bacon, you know,
No.
the sexy bacon that they talked about. Well, she was out there baking, looking like sexy bacon. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
You know, Emily Blunt
Nope. Does
was
nothing for me.
cute.
No.
Okay. I get it.
No. If it's a white woman, I prefer to just to be pasty as fuck. Almost anemic.
I mean, that can be cute, baby, but I mean, come on, man, just a little tone
No, I'm talking about
in that zone.
I'm talking about that
a
goth
little
chick
tone
skin.
in your zone, a little bit, just a little bit of tone in your zone.
No.
None,
No.
just none.
Just almost
Just wanna-
translucent white.
Just want just a piece of fucking paper. I
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. That's my preference when it comes
Just
to
a
white
blank
women.
sheet
Just
of paper,
pasty
man.
as fuck.
Blank sheet of paper, man.
Yeah.
Just, I guess it's endless possibilities, you know.
Yeah.
Just that. you just want
Mainly
that
because it
blank sheet of
matches
paper.
me. Because I'm pasty as fuck.
Gotcha.
I just want somebody, that doesn't go outside. Like me. So if they're naturally more dark complected, that's fine. Just don't go outside. I'm just saying you can always tell when white women go outside because they get dark. I mean, not dark. They don't actually get dark. They just get darker. Oh, I don't necessarily need that kind of stress in my life. I don't need somebody going outside and shit.
Damn.
I mean,
You never
speaking
even-
as a pasty white woman myself, I can very, very clearly tell you, at least for me, like, you're never going to get that bit of tan because I'm outside for like 10 minutes and I'm just like lobster red for a week. It's just not happening. So, it's fine. We need the people who appreciate that because I don't have the capability of being tan. So, yeah.
No, I can understand that. And boy, the last thing you want to be is overcooked. I mean, that's the last thing
It's the
anybody
worst.
wants to be.
It
So I
happens to
can
me all the
understand
time.
that.
Yeah.
So I can understand that. But dang, Sterling, you've never looked at one tan one and just been like, man, she cooked
Not a white woman, no.
up a little bit. Okay. All right.
Now,
Man,
non-white
we
women-
differ so much. We
Now-
just differ, man.
Non-white
We
women, though,
differ as fuck.
it's nice. But nah. Like I said, the pasty ass, that stereotypical pasty ass goth white woman complexion is my preference with white women.
Now, hot goth, pasty goth, hot goths are hot. Well, I said it twice, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
No, there can be a hot white, a hot super white, or a hot blank sheet of paper. Like, I get it. Like, I've seen them. They do exist. That can be hot.
When it comes to white women, Jastin, to put it in terms you might understand, I want them to have the complexion of Seamus.
Okay. Yeah, just that white. Just whatever they run into, it just shows up on them. They lean on a rail, it just shows up. You just want to be able to look at them and know, I've known everywhere you've been. Because it's gonna show up on your skin.
Which is funny because when I'm out in the sun, I actually do get tanned. I get very tanned if I'm out in the sun. I am one of those white people that can get very tanned naturally, and I hate it.
Hey, I was about to say it. I bet you hate that.
Hate it because that means I've been outside, and that is not my natural habitat. My natural habitat is inside. The more concrete and barriers and whatnots between me and the outside, the better.
And maybe that's just even though you're not like born in Chicago, I imagine with it being so cold there and having to be inside most of the time, I imagine just most people are pasty. You know?
But then on top of that, though, too, like, I also do enjoy the cold, though. So that's the only time I like going outside is when it's really cold out because the sun's not shining. So therefore, I don't get tan. And it's nice. But, you know, because it's cold. But summertime, man, strap me up and put me indoors. That's all I want to be is indoors. I want to be away from the heat, away from the sun. Like if I ever get skin cancer, you know things have gone terrible in my life. Because that means I was outside enough to get skin cancer. That means I just was not having, you know, I was not living my best life.
So you just,
Anyway.
Yeah, you just like that rare, man. It's no cooking at all.
Pretty much, yeah.
No medium, not even medium, not even just a little bit of pink. Just
medium is
rare.
Medium's terrible to me because it's just past what was great. Like, why would you do that? Why would you go past greatness and just go for like the bronze? That's like going, man, my goal is to go to the Olympics and get bronze. Why? Why is that your goal?
Why would you? I tell people that story a lot when we went to that restaurant and you said, look, guys, don't order anything past medium because the cooks would consider it an insult if you order it past.
Yeah, you don't go to a proper steakhouse and order anything past like medium. I like to me was still too far, but I'm like, that's probably the best I could get from you. So let's just say that.
It felt like you awarded us like if we had ordered past medium, somebody would have came out and escorted us out of the restaurant. Like you made it sound like it was serious, like
because that's how I like. That's just how I felt.
Literally hear the
acted.
cook in the back. Who the fuck ordered a well done steak?
Yes.
Why would they do this?
Yes.
Why would they do this to the meat?
Why would they come here and spend this amount of money for a fucking steak and eat it wrong? I mean, if you're at Outback, who gives a fuck? Order whatever the fuck you want at Outback. Going to Chili's, hey, order it like it's fucking Burger King. Get your way. If you're going into a place where you're spending $80 on a steak, eat it fucking right. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I need to give my score for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give it a 60. 60, I guess, stuntmen just jumping people. I guess. At the end of this movie. Out of 100. Cinescore for this movie is a 70.
Okay.
Okay.
Surprisingly high. Spoilers?
Let's go.
Nope.
Spoilers.
The end of this movie is a fucking mess. It's just they were trying to do a mystery movie type of thing, but it wasn't a mystery movie type of thing, but it also made no fucking sense whatsoever. Because, like, they already had the video and they edited it, but they wanted to make sure that they had the video so that wouldn't be a thing. But they destroyed the phone. Who cares? Like they destroyed the phone, but we're still caring about the phone for like 25 fucking more minutes. Like, I get that they didn't know they destroyed the phone, but fuck, like, we did. We knew it. So you're just wasting my fucking time at that point. You're not wasting Colt McGinnicuddy's, whatever the fuck his name was, time. You're wasting my personal time at that point spending 24 fucking like more hours caring about that fucking phone when we all saw it get fucking destroyed. Like, geez. You know, and like, I mean, I kind of dug some of the references like you were talking about, Jastin. Like, they had a ton of references that were just like very in movie making. You know, and those aspects of things were kind of cool and stuff. But like, do you know how much money Emily Blunt's character wasted refilming that scene 97,000 times just to teach that motherfucker a lesson? Like, what the fuck is that? And also, I know this movie is made by stunt people and it's for stunt people and all this other shit. But that whole thing of like, oh, he fucked up the thing and that's what caused the accident to happen or whatever. How? Are you telling me that your fucking stunt team and your stunt coordinator and all your stunt people and your fucking production team for a multi-million-dollar fucking budget, big budget movie, they're not double and triple checking fucking everything as you go? They're just leaving shit out? What the fuck is that? Some motherfucker's able to just walk up and turn a knob. Also, what knob are you turning that turns this stunt into just death mode? What fucking knob was that? Like, dude, does your fucking stunt rig have a death knob? What kind of fucking shit was that? Like, it's just some of those weird things that like I meant were like, I get we're meant to add intrigue and add this and add that, but like it just added a bunch of what?
Yeah, and I don't even know if you really needed that. I don't know if you needed him to have injured him. I think that should have just been one of those things where it's like, you know, I had a plan to try to get rid of you because you disrespected me. But then, as fate would have it, you injured yourself. So, good on me. You know, it could have just been something that he hoped happened because he's a scumbag. And it just did. You know, it still could have been an accident, you know. And I think everything still would have played out the whole way because that him injuring Colt didn't matter. The main thing was he killed this other guy. They were partying. He killed this other guy. All of that stuff happened to cover up all of that stuff. Him injuring him, I don't think really adds to this, you know? Yeah, I guess it gave him an extra villain point, but like you said, it was a villain point that I don't even think was needed. I like better that Colt. I honestly think it does more. I think it's more of a character kind of development and moment for Colt if it was just an unfortunate accident, because that happens to stuntmen. You know, that happens. You know, they befall accidents, and I like him having to question, can I do this anymore? Or should I do this anymore? Or I failed, so I got to go away, and all of this kind of stuff. I liked all of that. I liked what it did for his character, and making the bad guy do it to him, I think cheapens that a little bit.
Well, and on top of that too, you know how you get that twofold point of giving him a villain point and also keep it being an accident? Have him fall, have all the shit, have him getting loaded up into the ambulance and all this shit, and just have in the background that character going, well, good, I don't have to fire him now.
Yeah.
Villain
just something
point
like
and
that.
Accident. Bam, done.
Yeah. And then whenever he came back, you know, it was like, and then whenever he found out he was still alive and then they needed to cover this up and everything, of course they pick him because he didn't like him anyway. So now I can use him to be the fall guy for my nefarious plot. Actually, the title has a double meaning. I'm just now realizing that.
Yeah.
Fall Guy is a stunt man, but in the nefarious plot, they wanted him to be the fall guy for the murder. So there is a double meaning there. But anyway, But yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. Oh, were you done? Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your portion.
Jastin, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, you hella paused.
I'm here.
It's fine.
Did I?
Yeah. I heard you say, oh, that's the double meaning. It's the fall guy, is the stunt guy, and he's the fall guy for the, and it just went silent and you froze for a long time. So that's why I was like hesitant to jump in, because I didn't know if you were still talking or not. I didn't want to be rude and just cut you off.
Dang, I couldn't tell because I did pause for a second too, because I thought you were going to say something, but I guess I had paused and that's why you didn't say anything.
No, but I mean, either way, though,
I don't know. I didn't even see it. My stuff didn't act weird or anything. So
no, it's fine. Well, with that too, Justin, which is really funny because they actually use that in the movie. They comment on that in the movie. Because Ryan Gosling does say the line, "You wanted me to be your fall guy."
Yep.
And which is also funny too. This is also based on a TV series called Fall Guy. Yeah. The mid-credit sequence when the two cops show up, that man and that woman, that's the actors from the fucking TV show, The Fall Guy.
Okay. I knew they were from something and I couldn't think of what. I knew that was something. Okay.
Now, I can't tell you a damn thing about The Fall Guy. I have no idea what this TV show is about. It could have been about stuntmen. It could have not been about stuntmen. I got no fucking clue. This was the 80s. He was probably a stunt guy that also solved crimes, if I had to guess. Because that's 80% of all television from the 80s was somebody doing a profession and also solving crimes. I mean, there was that one show where there was a fucking priest that helped solve crimes constantly. But still, no idea. But also, like, with that too, like, this is a major Hollywood thing and with major Hollywood people and all this other stuff. Was that whole deep fake thing meant to look that fucking terrible? I don't know. Because it looked like shit. And the sad thing is with this movie is I did not know if that was intentional or not. When it's like Ryan Gosling's face on him, like, I don't know if that was meant to look like shit or not. But let's just break this down from like a crime perspective. They can tell when a body's been on ice. Like, there are distinct markers that would have never worked with that. Also,
yeah,
he had a cop come up there. So the time frame from which the video security camera footage of him hiding, he went and got a cop and came up there. No one was there. And then they find a body there. That cop would have been like, hey, that's very odd because he said a body was there. When I went there, it wasn't. And then magically it was. That is weird. They'd be able to tell that. They would have been thrown off by the fact that there was no rigor mortis, any of that other stuff. Also, when they're doing all this shit and they're like, no, we need to cover up the evidence of did they kill everybody that was in that room? Because so many people were in that room and watched that man die. Did they run around and kill all of them? Like,
right.
It's all this crazy shit that like that makes no sense. I get that the actor guy was stupid, but the producer lady was the one orchestrating all of it. She did not seem that fucking stupid. So like, just every aspect of that really fucking bugged me because it was just a bunch of nonsense. And I know this is supposed to be a silly little fun movie and all this other shit, but like, when so much of your movie is wrapped up in that, it's going to bug me. when that part's stupid. Like if that was like the least like thing that they cared about in that movie, maybe that's something you can write off. But they focus so much on that shit.
Yeah.
So it just really kind of just bugged me. I mean, to go into more of this stuff, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't even think there's anything more to like say, honestly. It's just like, those are the spoilery aspects. I talked about everything else earlier. I think I'm almost tapped because this movie just, you know, like I've said a couple of times already, it's just a movie. It just came in and movied and it left.
Yeah, it just gives you some things and that's it. Yeah.
I don't know. Heather, what about you? What are your spoilery thoughts about this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree too. It's kind of like there's not a ton of things to feel like you're really spoiling. I mean, I guess there is a little bit of the twist that the people involved were the producer and the main actor. Like, I don't think that was necessarily clear in the trailer. And yeah, I don't know. I honestly like, and maybe I just don't remember the trailer well enough, but I thought that they were going to find Aaron Taylor Johnson's character dead. I thought that's the dead body that he found and that was going to be the storyline here, which would have been a cool storyline too. But yeah, I think I do feel like as much as I did think that Aaron Taylor Johnson did a good job as like sort of this very self-involved villainous character, I think that they could have done more with what they did with him, just a little bit. But I will say, like, and I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff, but I do want to give him credit. I do think that he is a pretty decent actor from what I have seen him in. But I did think that one of the funnier parts was when he's doing the lines of monologue in the movie that they're making, and he's trying to do like the Southern accent, and he basically just imitates Matthew McConaughey's voice. Like, I did think that was kind of like a funny little thing that he did. And so, I mean, there's moments like that where you're just like, okay, there was potential here. This was kind of amusing. Yeah, I get what you were going for here. But I don't know. They just don't give you any big moments of anything is really the big issue. They don't give you big moments of super hilarious comedy. They don't give you big moments of action. I mean, you do get some of that because, I mean, obviously it's about a fall guy, so there's lots of action and stuff like that. But I don't really feel like there's a big moment with it, you know? And I feel like that is a missed opportunity because, I mean, that should be your biggest thing that you show in this movie because that's what this movie's about. And don't get me wrong, like what they showed you was good, but it just, I don't know. I just feel like they could have just done something a little bit more with that. But the moments that you do see, like, what's Ryan Gosling's character's name? It's
Colt Severs.
Colt
Severs.
Yes. Like you do see moments when Colt is using like his skills that he knows outside of just for work, you know, the skills of like trying to get away from people and like trying to be stealthy and all these things. You see him use those throughout the film, which I'm glad that they obviously incorporate that. But I don't know. I feel like it just, I think they could have maybe leaned into humorous parts of that a little bit when they did it. Of, you know, he is very good at, you know, escaping from people because of his training, or he's very good at fighting off these bad guys because of his training as a stuntman and stuff like that. They could have leaned into more like comedic moments, I think, with those things that he was doing outside of his job and just using in his everyday life. But I wasn't really a big fan of the whole, you know, he was in a coma for what, a year or something? Or I don't know if he wasn't in a coma, but he was in like a like recovery state for like a whole year. And I don't know if I like that being the the problem between Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling, because I feel like, yes, that sucks because she just wanted to be there for him. But I also feel like, yeah, I mean, his career could be over. Like, he is probably super depressed, like got super injured, and who knows how long it'll be before he heals. So I feel like that would have been a more understandable reason for him to not reach out to her, even though it sucks and he still should have. Like, that makes more sense than him just deciding the trope that they could have done of, oh, I just got too scared because of how real it was getting. You know, a lot of people would have gone that route with it, but they used this. But I'm just like, if you're not going to use the normal trope, use something a little bit more like I don't know, something that feels a little bit more like, I understand why she's so upset. But it was kind of like, well, yeah, his whole life completely changed and he almost died. So I get it if he needs some time to not talk, you know, I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I feel like they could have used a different plot point for why there was like this problem and this issue between the two of them, you know. But you know, that being said, like, I did like the moments between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt where they were kind of rekindling their thing. And like when he's in the car and he's like listening to Taylor Swift, which was that was a funny moment too. I thought that was really well done. And like, but you know what? Like, there's just things that they could have done differently. Like, there's a whole karaoke scene. They should have done like a Taylor Swift karaoke thing to kind of call back to that moment or something like that. Like, I feel like they could have used things just, I don't know, planned it a little bit differently with how they do certain things in this movie. But yeah, like that moment when they're in the car and they're talking to each other, or the moment when they're in the trailer after, you know, Jody thinks that Colt is dead, and, you know, they have this really intimate, sweet moment with each other. And I don't know. And the phone call I thought was really great, where he's just kind of apologizing for everything. There's some really good moments in there, little nuggets hidden in the midst of just this very mediocre story, if you will. And I just, and that's why I say that I think that the actors elevated this material, because even like there's moments when like Ryan Gosling is doing that phone call to her, and, you know, he's just really bearing his soul and being very vulnerable with her. It's actually a really good moment in the movie, because it's like that is the more intriguing part about that character of Colt, is like when he is being vulnerable. And so those moments stuck out more to me. And even the moment when like he's kind of tied up and they're putting all the gasoline on him and they're about to kill him. There was a moment in there when you see him, like, he's trying to fight back, like crying. And because he just, you know, you feel like he thinks his life is just completely over. And I don't know, I really liked that moment because the expression on his face, and like, it just felt so real, you know, when he's just sitting there and he's about to basically, you know, thinks he's probably going to die. Yeah, I don't know. It was just a really good moment of like, as much as he pretends to be this like, oh, I could do whatever because I'm the fall guy, actually being scared and actually being worried about something, and it actually not being just like a funny thing that they're trying to do. Like, it was a sincere moment of him being afraid, and I liked it. I thought that was really well done too. But yeah, I agree about the last act of the movie. It felt all over the place, and like, as much as I enjoyed parts of that helicopter thing where they're like, let's get the thing and shoot at each other and not shoot at each other and whatever they were doing there, parts of it were good, but it went on a little too long. I don't think they needed to do that for as long as they did it. And then also Hannah Waddingham, like you said, of Ted Lasso fame. She's delightful and I love her. And she has like this really great acting range to where, as sort of the main villain of this film, or second main villain, I guess, of this film, they could have used her in a bigger way for that role. Like, instead of being this like fumbling, just like I just need to cover everything up, and that's why I'm doing it. Like, there could have been a better moment for her in her villain era in this movie. So yeah, I think you said it best at the beginning, Sterling, of just nobody is at their best in this film, you know, and I don't know if it's just a lack of the script being a little bit more realized or what would have fixed it, but I think maybe that would have been it. Because otherwise, yeah, you have all of the ingredients to make such a great film, and you just kind of make it, you know, like I said, it is a cute film, but it could have been like that movie that you're like, yeah, this is the one that you need to see this summer. This is that great rom-com or that great date night or action film of the summer. Like, this is what you need. But that's not really my recommendation for this. So if they would have just realized in a better way, a little bit more of the script and, like, I guess carried it out in a little bit of a better way, then this movie, it could have been a solid A film.
Jastin, what about you?
Yeah. So with a lot of this, I think, yeah, when I watched the preview of this, I did think things were going to happen a lot differently, just the way it appeared to be setting things up. I thought that he was just going to kind of be the stunt guy on this movie, and he wasn't in a relationship with Emily Blunt yet, but with Jodie yet, but liked her. And I thought this whole thing was going to be about him, you know, the guy who's ignored but has the crush, and then eventually works his way in, and through circumstance and things happen, and they, you know, that they wind up falling for each other. That's what I thought the movie was going to be. And like you, Heather, whenever it was saying, oh, we got to find Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, we got to find him or whatever. So I thought that, and you know, in the previous one, it's like, oh, somebody's dead. I too thought they were talking about him, and there was going to be this mystery about, oh no, the main actor of this is dead. And I don't know, in my head, I was kind of thinking, is Ryan Gosling going to wind up having to save this movie and be the, you know, the actor because the other actor is dead? I don't know. I just had this whole other movie in my head watching the previews of this. So going into the movie, I do kind of like how it started. I like that they were already together. You know, it just felt like a different journey than what I thought I was going to see. I like how they were already together. They were already kind of having this budding love or whatever, but they hadn't been with each other that long. And then he took that big injury. He got that injury and everything. And him cutting himself off from her, yeah, I don't necessarily completely understand it, but I mean, maybe I do. I mean, maybe they just hadn't gotten that deep in the relationship where maybe he felt like he could confide in her completely, or he felt confident enough to say, or maybe he had lost his confidence. And since he couldn't be that cult that was always laughing and always charming and always like in front of her and always able to do the stunt and always able to do what she needed him to do, maybe I could see that him kind of facing morality. I'm not invincible, and maybe I'm not good enough for her either. I mean, I guess maybe, you know. Now, if they had been together for 3 or 4 years and were near engagement and he cut her off, I'd be like, okay, you know, what the hell? They should have just talked about this shit. But, you know, they had been together just basically the length that that movie was being made, right? I think that's what they said. It was just the length of time for that one film. So it was a young love. If something crazy happens within the midst of dating someone, I could see maybe there being a reason why one could think, oh, I got to cut this off. This can't go any further because of this big thing that's happened in my life, and feeling like you can't bring a new person along for that big thing that happened in your life. So I guess overall I was okay with it. And I guess overall I like that we weren't telling just the story of I have a crush and I got to work my way in there. I just feel like we've seen that story so much. So I like this kind of stop-start thing that happened to them. And like you said, Heather, I really liked a lot of the scenes where they were just kind of rekindling the old flame. You could tell immediately that they still had feelings for each other. And even though she was mad at him, she still felt for him and everything like that. She was mad because he broke communication, but still it's mixed feelings because she probably felt so bad for him because he did injure himself. But at the same time, that's compartmentalized or with also the fact that she had feelings for him. They were intimate with each other. She cared about him in that way too. He was a boyfriend. So, you've got all that in there. So when they come back together, you did feel like, okay, you got the sense that they both still definitely have feelings for. It wasn't just him, it was her too. So I like that too. It didn't just feel like the guy trying to get the gal. You know what I mean? It very much felt like two people that like each other, and the back and forth was the wondering of should we or shouldn't we? But it felt like it didn't feel like I was watching a man trying to convince a woman to do something. It felt like both of them were struggling at times with what should we do with this? We want to, but should we? Sort of deal. So I guess I appreciated that. One of my favorite scenes was I think you talked about it a bit, Heather, was when they had that phone conversation. But when they were talking about the split screen, I loved that conversation.
That's true. Yeah.
Like how they showed the split screen, and then they literally for the movie did a split screen of them. And as she's describing the point of a split screen scene in a love movie, like how, they're in these two different worlds and the audience just wishes that the line would just go away, and we kind of blur the line a little bit, but we don't. And it kind of makes the audience wish that they were there together and stuff like that. And the scene totally plays out like that. So there was something kind of neat about that. The director narrates what an effective scene like that looks like. And then as that's happening, we're double meaning it with Colt talking about their relationship. And they go from talking about the film to their relationship to back to them. And interestingly enough, it was an effective scene because towards the end of it, you did feel like you wish they were in the same room. But, and then I liked how they were doing similar things. Like there was a part where they're both sitting down and they both prop their feet on something at the same time. Like they were really having a lot of fun with that scene. And I appreciated that.
You're right. I actually forgot about that scene, and it was a really good scene. Yeah.
Yeah. That was an awesome scene. And I almost wish there were more scenes like that. I kind of wish the film had taken a few more chances with things like that. I liked her conversations about the split screen and the third act and things like that, and then them like paralleling that with their relationship and kind of the point that both of them were trying to make about that coinciding with the film. I think they should have done more shit like that. There are two times I can remember, the third act discussion and the split screen discussion. I would have liked to have seen more than that. Those were some of the coolest parts.
thing they did. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the coolest. Those were some of the coolest parts to me. The anatomy of what happens in a film juxtaposed with their relationship. All of that was good stuff. And the dialogue was good in those scenes. I thought that both of them did so well in those scenes. So all of that was cool. One cool fight scene I really liked was when they drugged him and he started hallucinating, but he was fighting those guys at the same time. So like the camera looked all weird, but sometimes they were using special effects and it almost looked not animated, but it was like flashy. It's hard for me to describe, but it looked like that because he was disoriented. But it looked neat what they were doing with lighting, with lights, and kind of how they were making that scene kind of fun. So that was a fun scene, even though literally it was just him fighting off 4 or 5 people. But all of the color and the extra and kind of shooting it from a hallucinatory standpoint, I think was neat. You know, and again, that was the only scene like that. I kind of wish we had done some more shit like that. You know, like scenes like that were really cool. And I think this movie could have been several grades higher if we had stuck with some of those more creative ideas that came out. But it seemed like we just would do it 1 or 2 times and we were done with it. And I just kind of wish if the whole movie sort of had that identity throughout, I think I would have enjoyed it even more than I did. So, you know, just another thing that was fun about this movie. And then the whole thing about, well, how do you know it hasn't worn off? Because you'll keep seeing the unicorn. And so that was kind of funny what they did with that unicorn, where randomly he would see it, or, you know, some time would pass and then all of a sudden the unicorn would be there and it's like, okay, he's still drugged. You know, all of that stuff was fine. All of that stuff was, you know, I think for the most part, pretty fun stuff. And yeah, you guys talked a lot about the third act and some of the things that happened. And yeah, there was definitely a lot going on with that. First of all, with this recording and this confession and stuff like that, I know that court can be very kind of particular about confessions and what can and cannot be utilized as a confession in court. And you didn't really have a cop involved with this. It wasn't like this was part of a police investigation. So, you know, we hadn't gotten to that yet. So some of that I was kind of like, and that's what I mean by some of this was kind of Goonie-ish at the end. Like, okay, you got a taped confession, but there'd be like 100 ways for a lawyer to argue out of this. Like, he was put in a position that he had no choice but to say it. You know, he's driving him around in this stunt car and they're frantically doing this 250-foot jump. I mean, under that duress, wouldn't you just tell the guy what you wanted? I don't know. It felt like this could have just been argued out of. That would be
what is called a coerced confession, because you were literally threatening somebody's life to get a confession.
Yeah.
You were legitimately putting them in danger to get a confession. That is the equivalent of holding a gun to somebody's head and saying, confess.
Yeah. Like, and that's exactly what it felt like to me. So the idea that we could just get this recording and that clears his name and everything is okay just didn't sit well with me. And that's what I mean by it just felt Goonie-ish. I just loved how that was the answer. You know, we're in a helicopter, we're fighting, we're doing all of this stuff, but like, it just didn't feel like that was the answer. It just still felt like that would have just not been permissible in court. Then what do you do? How do you argue it then, you know?
Do they only have one recorder? Do you not have any backups? Also,
yeah,
it doesn't matter if they got the recording or not. so many people would have heard that.
Yeah.
So many people would have heard it.
Yeah.
You would at least be able to go, well, I directly heard him say it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are so many people that would have just also heard it that it wouldn't have mattered, you know?
Yeah.
If you got the recording or not. But like I said, do they have no backup recordings? Because they only took the one recorder. That's weird. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've never been on a multi-million-dollar movie set, but I mean, fuck, we back up we have 2 versions of our audio running right now.
Yeah.
We've got the video, the audio that's embedded in the video, and we've got the audio recording on our mixer. We've got backup audio for our shit. And that you're telling me that they don't have that shit for them? Come on.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that given the tone of this movie, you probably could have had a scene after all of that and used some of the actual logic, and still it could have been funny about it. Like, he could have said in narration, well, actually, you know, this was a coerced confession and was not permissible in court. But, you know, we had, you know, so all of that was kind of for nothing, but it was still kind of fun. But we had this evidence and we found this and found that. And, you know, we were able to prove that it was him despite that. But it would have just been kind of funny if like other things came to light and that's how they proved it. But, you know, I think you could have said something kind of funny or ha-ha about the fact that, yeah, we probably did all of that for nothing, but it was still cool. You know, like you could have, you almost could have gotten away with the line or something there, like at the end of it. And it would have been kind of funny. And you still could have played into the reality of that, because I just didn't believe that recording was the key to anything. I just did not buy it. So I don't know. Probably could have had some fun with it.
No, I agree.
But I mean, other than that, like, I mean, I already talked about the stunt stuff, so no need to reiterate that. You know, I'll just say really quickly, I was happy to see some of that stuff, and I was happy to see some stunt people get some props. And I don't know how many Academy voters or if the Academy was listening, but I totally agree. I think that stunt people should be rewarded in some kind of way. Now, I don't doubt I'm sure there are probably some rewards they could receive, but it would be cool to see an honorary Oscar for best action sequence or best stunt coordination or something like that, and see what gets nominated and see what wins. I think that would be damn cool if the whole team got to come up there and accept an award for some badass action scene they did. You know, that would be cool as hell. So yeah, I'll just end it on that.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's like, why isn't that in the technical awards? You know?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, it should be.
But it's kind of
For
like,
sure.
you know, why did Andy Serkis never like really get any sort of Academy Award acknowledgement for all the shit he's done with mocap? Like, I mean, you
Yeah.
can say whatever, like, you know, other people with mocap and all this other stuff, but Andy Serkis is the one that really changed the game. When it came to Golem and when it came to fucking Caesar and the Planet of the Apes movies and all that other shit, he is the gold standard of what it means to mocap a fucking performance. And
Yeah.
you know, like, you know, and not to really like beat up on Avatar, but I mean, in Avatar, that's obviously, what's his name? Joel Edgerton, like, or that's not even the right guy, is it? Anyway, it's that fucking guy that was in those fucking movies for a little bit of time. It's obviously that guy just doing something and you animated over it. Like, Andy Serkis is playing animals. He's doing this. He's doing that. He is becoming whole other characters and species of shit just to fucking do a performance with mocap. And, you know, there's no acknowledgement for that stuff. So, I mean, there's so many things. Sam Worthington is the guy I was thinking of. Joel Edgerton and him are practically the same human to me. But anyway.
Yeah, they actually do look alike.
They do look a lot alike.
But
Unlike Josh Hartnett and Ethan Hawke.
That's the same motherfucker. I don't even know what you're talking about, Heather. You just said this guy doesn't look like himself. I mean, that's weird. But, you know, yeah, there's so many things. And I just agree. Like, why can't it be one of the technical awards? I mean, I get that it's hard to do. And, you know, and part of it is also because, you know, the Academy Awards, they don't want to acknowledge films like that. Like, you know, they don't want to acknowledge films with a bunch of stunt work in their fucking award ceremony. Get the fuck over it. That is a legit and like necessary part of making movies. Therefore, it should be acknowledged. Like, for like this movie says, for as long as movies have been a thing, stunt performers have been a thing. They are ingrained in Hollywood. They are a necessary part of what makes movies happen. They should be acknowledged as such.
Yeah. And like he said, like the narration said, some of the greatest movies, the movies that we regard as some of the greatest movies, had stunt work and stunt coordination and wouldn't be what they were without the stunts in them. So I mean, it's true, man. It's just true. It is just a fact. So it just feels like a travesty at this point.
We finally agreed on something in this episode, Jastin.
We did. I know. It just took all the way. It just took
All
2
the way
hours.
to the end.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been longer than 2 hours because we were disagreeing before we
You're
started
right.
recording.
We were disagreeing before it started. So yeah.
Like 3 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 hours.
Took us 3 hours to finally get on the same damn page. And with that, though, any more thoughts about this movie?
No.
Nah.
On that note, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Cinema Slayers Podcast. Check us out on the internet at www.cinemaslayers.com. We're Cinema Slayers Podcast on Facebook. We're Cinema_Slayers on Threads, Instagram, and Letterboxd. We're at Cinema Slayers Pod on TikTok and YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating review. We'd really appreciate it. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your friends' family, tell your family's friends, and most of all, tell those dear sweet mothers, because dear sweet mothers love
Ryan Gosling and his charisma.
fair. Shout out to Plug Me, Go Home and Do a Show for our theme song and logos, respectively. Remember, here at the Cinema Slayers Podcast, we are pro slut, pro Sydney, and pro naked. You, yes, you, Cinevans, you are Knuff. And justice for Chris. And Todd? Wasn't it Todd? It's been a minute.
Yes,
Todd.
Can't forget
Justice for
Todd.
Chris and Todd. And as I always end these TikToks, these YouTube videos, and this podcast, just remember, according to Jastin, Moon Knight is the Best Picture winner.
And maybe not say it every time, but for this episode, justice for stuntmen, justice for the coordinators, justice for the unsung heroes in these freaking films. Give them their flowers, guys. Give them some
Yeah.
flowers.
I mean, you know, it's one of those things. You can't tell me that like bad stunt work isn't just as noticeable as bad costumes. I mean, if costumes are that important to a fucking movie, so is stunt performing.
True.
Yeah, it is.
And I mean, they use stunt performers for so much. Like things that we don't even think about. I mean, you got to think about it like this, even something like Killers of the Flower Moon, where, you know, you have just people getting beat up. A lot of that's stunt performers.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not getting beat up, you know. Leo DiCaprio ain't hitting the ground. That's Mike Fassbender or somebody. You know what I mean?
And it's funny to see, like, with the behind the scenes they were doing, there was like 4 different stuntmen for one person. Like they just, yeah, they do it. They do all the things. Yeah.
I mean, think about how many movies you've seen where people get shot at that are Academy Award winners. A lot of times that's stunt people. You know, especially the bigger the movie, the more likely it is the stunt person. The bigger the actor, the more likely it is the stunt person. Just because They're not putting the real actors out there to get shot at most of the time. Now, I understand now, especially, which is one of the reasons why I'm really happy that now a lot of gun stuff in movies is CGI. So then that way you don't even have the instances of somebody possibly getting shot because there's just no fucking bullets anywhere. But yeah, I agree, Justin. Justice for all those people in movies that no one fucking talks about. My back got really itchy and I can't scratch it. So I'm doing weird movements. All right, I'm out.